This technology is not compatible with the dollar, the euro, or the pound, i.e., the SWIFT system. It settles in 7 seconds instead of the 3 to 5 days that SWIFT takes at a 98% reduction in fees, but it's free from SWIFT interference.
What if I told you that nearly 90% of the world's population can now trade and settle payments outside of the US dollar system, bypassing SWIFT completely? What if transactions that once dragged on for days could now settle in just 7 seconds at a 98% lower cost with zero interference from Western sanctions? This isn't speculation. It's happening right now. From the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to BRICS and the Belt and Road Initiative, nations are building a financial network designed to work without the dollar. And at the heart of it is China, pushing the yuan, gold, and new settlement technologies as the foundation of a new global order. Stay with me, because in this video, we'll break down how this system works, why it's spreading so quickly, and how it could permanently change the balance of power. And make sure you watch till the end to hear Andy Schectman's critical warning. You won't want to miss it.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is something I've talked a lot about as well. They're the largest regional military and financial organization on the planet. The way that they are presenting this, at least Xi, Modi, and Putin are presenting it, is that they're all partners, not rivals. But the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in and of itself is 41% of global population and 34% of GDP, 24% of the world's land mass. It's a big deal. And I think that you're looking at, Trump, I think, overplaying his hand with India, pushing them right into this group by imposing 50% tariffs. And, India hosts it next year, the BRICS meeting. I think that they are reaffirming peace on their borders. You saw meetings between Xi and Modi and mutual cooperation. And I think it's a misstep under Trump. There are a lot of things happening right now, but one of the things that I think when we talk about the BRICS that is most, how do I say this? I think most significant is the further development of their bridge technology. Now, it's been known by most as mBridge, right? The BIS, the reason we haven't heard much of anything, Mario, I believe, is that the BIS pulled what amounted to espionage at the 12th hour to the BRICS nations when they, for the previous 4 years, through their BRICS Innovation Hub, the BIS Innovation Hub, Bank of International Settlements Innovation Hub, they came out at the 12th hour after, for 4 years, developing the technology with China, which is largely Chinese technology, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, UAE. And then Saudi Arabia becomes the 5th full member of mBridge. And literally at the last minute before the meeting in Kazan, you get the BIS Gustus Carsons, who has since, I think, been replaced by someone else as his tenure ended. But he was the acting, the general manager, the head of the BIS. He said, we can't be involved, the BIS can't, with technology that would allow any country to sidestep Western sanctions, as if he was just realizing for the very first time that Russia was the R of BRICS. So everything went very quiet for a while. We fast forward to an announcement that we saw about 6 weeks ago, and I don't think you and I have talked about this, whereby you had China come out and say, we've rebranded this technology called the renminbi cross-border payment system, or the bridge. And for our first connection with this technology, we've connected 11 Asian countries and 5 Middle Eastern countries. The 11 Asian countries, ASEAN, are all the countries in Southeast Asia, and they amount to 35% of global GDP. And 2 things subsequently have happened. Now, forget about the 5 Middle Eastern countries that are adding on to it. You're talking over 45% of global GDP just in those countries. This technology is not compatible with the dollar, the euro, or the pound, i.e. the SWIFT system. It settles in 7 seconds instead of the 3 to 5 days that SWIFT takes at a 98% reduction in fees, but it's free from SWIFT interference. Two things have happened subsequently. One, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, came out and said, we're going to offer this technology not just to the BRICS countries, but we're opening it up to the world, except it is not going to be opened up or compatible with the dollar, the pound, or the euro. So in other words, they're opening it up to everyone else but us in the West. And they're starting with the Belt Road Initiative, which is 75% of human population right now as it is, 50% of global GDP. So you add in this technology to the BRICS, the Belt Road, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the Eurasian Economic Union, you're talking 90% of human population who will have the ability to transact outside of SWIFT, settle in 7 seconds, and at a 98% reduction in fees. The second thing that came up was a statement or an admission, or it was in Reuters, and they said the Asian countries now represent China's largest trading partner by far. And they are double the size, about 800 million people, of the United States, 800 million people. And they are now China's largest trading partner by far. And the United States has dropped to number 3. So you put it all together, you have a system that is growing, that is expanding, that is cooperative, and that is keeping the West out. And the West keeps overplaying their hands, we do, by doing things like imposing 50% tariffs on our allies like India. And that, I think, is going to have negative effects and ramifications that I don't think people quite understand yet. This is the acceleration, this growing bridge. And the last piece I would add to that is that now you have China coming out and saying, and here's another piece, we are going to internationalize our yuan. And by doing so, gold is now immediately convertible. Yuan is now immediately convertible into gold. Right now, without having to switch into dollars, they just made this announcement a few months ago in the Shanghai Metals Exchange. And you can take delivery in the new facility that just was completed in Hong Kong. So if you are Saudi Arabia, you sell your oil to China for the yuan, you can immediately convert it into gold on the Shanghai Metals Exchange and their new facility in Hong Kong. But gets better than that. The next facility that they are building to expand the infrastructure for settlement is, you guessed it, in Saudi Arabia. It's under construction now. And their intent is to build this multi-jurisdictional system of vaulting throughout the Belt Road, throughout Asia, Africa, and a little bit in Europe to facilitate settlement. So all of these countries that will trade local currencies back and forth, you keep hearing local currencies. They'll trade their local currencies back and forth over the mBridge network, settle imbalances in gold, and take delivery through multi-jurisdictional vaults. Perhaps they sprinkle gold, each country, in all of the vaults around the system. And you see vaults springing up in Singapore, in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, in Dubai, the new BRICS facilities that will be built. All of this will be the skeletal system of this new settlement system that they are proposing. Now, we once talked about it as the unit. The unit is what Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil and the head of the BRICS New Development Bank, said they had agreed upon in principle. I believe they have kind of shelved that until Trump is gone. And instead, China's taking the lead and saying it's the process of internationalizing the yuan. Instead of throwing the BRICS common settlement currency in their face, which they've agreed upon in principle, in Trump's face, China's just calling it internationalizing the yuan. But it's the exact same thing. Trade in local currencies, not compatible with SWIFT, settle imbalances in gold. It's virtually the same system that they have in place. The unit was 60% BRICS plus currencies, 40% gold, deliverable upon request through a series of vaults. I would argue that this is exactly what they are doing, setting the stage for them to just slide the unit right in when the time is right. But yes, the BRICS are growing, and to underestimate it is a critical mistake at this juncture, I think.
The US dollar's dominance is unraveling faster than most people realize. For decades, America enjoyed the privilege of printing dollars, buying goods from the world, and having those dollars recycled back into treasuries. But that cycle is breaking, and new systems are taking its place. China has rolled out its mBridge cross-border payment network, which clears trades in 7 seconds with nearly no cost. Unlike SWIFT, this system is deliberately incompatible with the dollar, euro, and pound. It already links Southeast Asia and the Middle East, representing over a third of global GDP, and is being expanded to BRICS, the Belt and Road, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, together covering nearly 90% of the world's population. Russia has made it clear the technology is open to everyone, except the West. At the same time, China has internationalized the yuan by making it immediately convertible into gold through the Shanghai Metals Exchange. A Saudi oil sale settled in yuan can now be turned into gold instantly, with vaults in Hong Kong, new facilities under construction in Saudi Arabia, and a growing network in Dubai, Moscow, and Singapore. This creates a multi-jurisdictional gold settlement system, where trade happens in local currencies but is balanced in gold, bypassing treasuries entirely. And this isn't just theory. Central banks are acting. In 2025, gold officially overtook the euro as the world's second-largest reserve asset, now making up 20% of official holdings. India is shifting reserves away from U.S. Treasury bills into gold. MarketWatch reports that central banks are ghosting treasuries, while Reuters questions whether the dollar's safe haven status was always a mirage. The Guardian goes further, saying it's no longer a matter of if the dollar loses supremacy, but when. Meanwhile, gold prices keep climbing, outpacing treasuries with no counterparty risk. Nations see greater security in gold, silver, and resources than in U.S. debt. The financial world is being redrawn, and this time, America isn't at the center. But don't click away yet, because what Andy Schectman says at the end of this story may shock you.
Yeah, because there is no more demand, there is no more organic demand or a waning organic demand for the U.S. Treasury. Gold will not replace the dollar. Gold will replace what stands behind the dollar, the Treasury. And I think when you look at the price of gold, which has doubled the performance of the 10-year Treasury over the past 25 years, with no counterparty risk, think of sanctioning against the Russian $5 billion in Forex reserves or in U.S. Treasuries, rather. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And, the gold is an asset that is not simultaneously someone else's liability, and it's outperforming the heck out of the bond market. Look at, like, for example, last year, gold was up 40%. The U.S. Treasury was up 4.5%, 10-year. Look at this year. Halfway through the year, that Treasury's up 2.5%, call it. And it's not even quite that much, but let's call it that. The dollar's down 11, so you're negative 8.5%. Gold's up 40% again. So it's a situation where not only is it outperforming, it has no counterparty risk, which is the big deal. And it is acting, I believe, it is acting as the cornerstone to a new system. And you're seeing all of these countries embrace it in lieu of treasuries. I think it's a very big deal. I think it's a big deal for the treasury market, for the dollar, for this new system. And it's one that inspires confidence and trust rather than trusting a insolvent, broke country that is going around throwing sanctions and tariffs upon people or countries. I think much of the world has had it. It's one thing to do that and have your house in order. We are broken. We are insolvent. And after what we've gone through the last 4 years previous to this administration, with lawlessness and open borders and judicial system questioning if it's two-tiered or not, election interference or not, immigration, all of the things that we've seen that I don't need to rehash, the world is tired of it. And instead of extending the olive branch, it's the stick. And when you talk about, should we be doing this with tariffs? Look, being the world reserve currency, Mario, has given us an exorbitant privilege by having the world take our or sell us their products for our dollars and expecting them to put the reserves in treasuries has kept asset prices in this country high. It has kept goods that we purchase at Walmart low. This is our standard of living has been really fostered by the good graces of our foreign creditors. And things are changing now. So you got to wonder, this is Triffin's dilemma. If the world takes our dollars that we print out of thin air for the goods that they create with effort and sweat, and then as a result, putting excess reserves in treasuries keeps our standard of living high, our asset prices high, our interest rates low, our goods cheap, isn't that really the trade-off? And we say it's not fair, but is it really not fair? I think we should be careful what we wish for. And if I had to guess, the days of the dollar being the singular world reserve currency are coming to an end very quickly. Look at the latest entry into the BRICS, Vietnam. So not only do you have the hub of manufacturing with China and Vietnam and countries like that, you have the wealth of the world's natural resources. Indonesia has just joined. They have the world's largest nickel deposit. All of the countries that are interested and or have already applied to or been admitted to the BRICS are resource rich or strategically located in terms of trade routes, and underdeveloped in many cases. So this is a deal where this is all about revaluing what is important and what is considered an asset, what is considered strategic. So these countries, I think, would rather own gold and silver and rare earths and copper and than they would U.S. Treasuries, which have underperformed, which can be inflated, which can be sanctioned, and are administered by a government that one would argue, if you were around the world, maybe is not aligned with their goals any longer. So, yeah, I think the biggest mistake that the people in the United States are making is underestimating and putting too much faith and credit in the U.S. system. We've become net importers of gold since November. Well over 100 billion has come in that we know of, and probably a whole lot more that we don't. Things are changing. Gold's at 35, almost 36. It's $3,600 for God's sakes, and nobody's talking about it. It's the weirdest thing, Mario. If you would have told me, I remember, I've been doing this for 36 years, almost 35, and I remember when gold finally broke through $400. What a big deal it was. You probably remember that too.
I do.
And it was a huge deal. And I would, if you would have told me it will be 9 times higher than that someday, Andy, and when it is, no one's talking about it.
What we're seeing is the early stage of a post-dollar world. Nearly 90% of humanity now has access to a system that bypasses SWIFT, settles instantly, and uses gold as a neutral reserve. For the U.S., this means less demand for treasuries, higher interest rates, and a declining standard of living once foreign buyers walk away. So here's my question to you. Do you believe gold will truly replace U.S. treasuries as the cornerstone of global reserves, or will the dollar find a way to adapt and survive? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and responding. And here's a quick poll for you. Yes, gold will replace treasuries. No, the dollar will survive. Both systems will coexist. A new digital currency will take the lead. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. And now, here's Andy Schectman's warning. In his own words, gold will not replace the dollar. Gold will replace what stands behind the dollar, the Treasury. Over the last 25 years, gold has doubled the performance of the 10-year Treasury, with no counterparty risk. It's becoming the cornerstone of a new system, embraced by nations that no longer trust U.S. debt. That's the world we're entering. The only question left is, are you ready?